Yeah, what's up guys? In today's video, I'm just going to be sharing some of my thoughts about the current state of Clash Royale over some gameplay. Obviously I'm not playing while I'm speaking right now, but I just wanted to have something in the background. So, I think the first topic I'm going to be bringing up is going to be, I think the fact that I feel like with the most recent update in Clash Royale, I think that Clash Royale has always been known as a more pay-to-win game in the sense like if you're a lower player in trophies or if a new card comes out, if a new type of card comes out, for example, champions, evolutions, the game has always been thought out to be very pay to win. Like I remember when champions first came out, you had to pay like $100, $200 to max one of them. When Evos came out, there was like you could get all 4 new Evos for $150. And I also feel like on an even lower level, like or on a lower scale, is the game is very pay to win in just a card level standpoint. The card levels, I feel like they need to be a lot easier to upgrade cards, and I don't think anyone would disagree with me on that fact, because as someone who spends money on the game constantly, I have just maxed out my account maybe a few weeks ago, and there's many accounts that I play on actively every single day I just didn't spend thousands of dollars on, and I don't even have them close to max, which I find kind of crazy. And if I'm someone who plays every day, like 6 hours, 8 hours a day, and I spend hundreds of dollars, maybe $100, $200 a month on the game, and I don't have my cards maxed. How are other people supposed to have their account maxed ever if they play, maybe sometimes and they buy maybe just the pass Royale or not even the pass Royale? Because I feel like a majority of the players don't even buy the pass, but I feel like maybe some of you guys here watching me do buy the pass Royale, and you guys probably don't have a big dent in your account to being 100% fully maxed out, and I find that to be a little bit crazy. I think that Clash Royale should make progression easier, but with the new update, progression has actually been nerfed. The pass Royale got nerfed, so you're paying the same price for worse rewards. I find that kind of crazy. People should be requesting a pass Royale buff, not a pass Royale nerf, and I feel like we have been, saying like, well, why don't we have our book of books like we used to? And then they made progression a little bit worse. I'm going to share a picture here to show the timeline of progression getting worse. And as you guys can see right here, you can pause the video, feel free, but there is a major nerf to progression overall, and I find that to be kind of insanity. I mean, we have been getting a lot of progression buffs recently in past updates, and in this update, I feel like all of that is getting reverted, whether it be by on purpose or by on accident. I feel like that is really upsetting as a player, who's trying to max their account or just trying to upgrade your cards in general. Say you're trying to max your one deck or just try to upgrade your one deck a little bit more. It's a huge slap in the face, man, especially for someone who even like purchases the pass rail. Like, damn, I'm purchasing the same thing for worse stuff. And also, they've actually been increasing the prices of evolutions in the shop. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but for example, I live in Canada, and the evolutions used to be $7 for every 3 wild shards, but now I think it's like $9, which, I mean, it's not the end of the world, I would say, but I don't know why we're making things more expensive instead of, like making them easier to acquire. I feel like you should always make things cheaper, not more expensive. But that's just my personal opinion. Feel free to disagree or agree with me in the comments if you think otherwise. But I think that it is a little bit unfair to the players who, play every single day and then even more spend their hard-earned money on the game because they enjoy it so much, and for you to like make it harder for them to upgrade the stuff, I feel like it just seems like a huge slap in the face to the players, to be honest. But enough about the pay-to-win topic. I feel like everyone knows how pay-to-win Clash Royale can be, and knows that it needs to be fixed. I'm going to get onto the topic here of the balance changes. I know a lot of you guys may not really care about balance changes, and this kind of ties into the game being pay to win as well, so that's why I wanted to cut the pay to win speech a little bit shortly. I feel like the balance changes are quite obviously and very money driven and revenue driven. For example, I think we can agree that every single card either releases broken, or if they don't end up being released broken, then they get buffed to the point where they're the best card in the game, and you have to upgrade or purchase that card to compete. For example, the Evo Lumberjack is a very, very prime example of that. Evo Lumberjack was extremely broken, and it is still extremely broken, and the only way to compete when it was in its prime was to buy it and max it out to play with it. And I find that very upsetting. Another good example of that, I guess, would be Goblin Machine, or just really any new Evo. They always end up getting buffed until they're, one of the best evolutions, if not the best evolution in the game. You need to buy it to compete, and that's not even, like, I would say, the worst part or the most obvious part of a card being broken, because obviously, regardless of how much they get paid, they're going to want a new card to be broken, right? Because, I mean, they want people to use it, they want people, I guess, to purchase it, but they just mainly want people to use it. They want it to make an impact to the game, make stuff feel fresh and new. But I think you guys can see as well the direction they go with all of their new types of cards, like champions, evolutions. They all release extremely strong. I can't remember the last time they released weak and stayed weak. Like, for example, Goblin Curse, Goblin Machine, Goblin Demolisher all had their glimpse of the best cards in the face of the game for a bit. They got the money from people needing to upgrade them to play the game even at a fair level. And then when's the last time you guys have faced a Goblin Demolisher? I can't remember. I faced Goblin Curse once in a blue moon because it's a funny concept, and Goblin Machine, I only saw it when it was with Rune Giant, and I haven't seen it ever since. Also, Rune Giant is another great example of that. Rune Giant came out as one of the worst cards the game has ever seen, and then the Rune Giant got what they call an emergency buff. Like, come on, man. They emergency buffed a card. Like, how is that even a thing, man? A card was so bad, they buffed it like crazy until it was the best card the game's seen in probably over a year since Prime Goblin Machine, just to make sure that everyone buys it, which I find to be quite upsetting, man. I feel like they always miss the mark with the balance changes, even when it's not related to an obvious cash grab and way to boost their revenue, which is quite upsetting, man, because, I mean, if you're going to do some random cash grabs every so often, you could at least do, like, a proper balance set in the months to come. But I just find it like a sick way to monetize the game in general. I'm pretty sure B-Rad has talked about this before in the past as well. Like, he just thought of, like, how silly it was, and they kind of, like, I wouldn't say manipulate you, but they kind of, like, as a competitive player, you need to have everything up to date. Like, if you're a competitive player, for example, you need to have the Evo Lumberjack, you need to have the Rune Giant Max, you need to have this card upgraded, and you just need to be able to use everything in the game when it's good. Like, obviously, you can go without having Goblin Hut, Furnace, and all that type of stuff, right? But for the other cards, you need, and I mean you need to have those, so they kind of force you to buy it, and even if you're, like, a player who's up and coming and wanting to start, you have to purchase it, and I just find it so upsetting and so unfair that you are required to have some things to play the game. I'm going to end off the balance changing topic, though, here, because I feel like I can get really, really ranty on that. And the final thing I would just like to talk about is that I feel like the updates nowadays are underwhelming, and this update was the biggest proof of the underwhelming updates. I mean, all they really did, right? The most recent update that they had was in October, okay? The most recent update was in October, when they released the Goblin Sign and a few other things like that. It was their Q4 update or whatever. And that's okay, right? Having a nice October update right into the World Finals. World Finals was at the end of October. But, so since October, right? We have had all of October. We've had November, December, January, February, March, right? And we're at the very end of March. It has been that long, okay, guys? It's been 5 months, nearly 6 months, right? And for all we have to show for that, for half of a year, worth of updating versus, like, with brainstorming, I guess, versus, like planning and, doing the update, all we have to show for it is a nerf to progression and pretty much nothing other than that. I guess a new pathfinding bug fix, so we have bug fixes and a progression nerf. Like, I think that's honestly sad, but I know that the summer updates are always big. Like, every year we've had a big summer update, which is good, but I do feel like that, if you're going to take 6 months off of updates, you need to have something to show for it. You can't have nothing to show for 6 months worth of updates, in my opinion. I find that kind of absurd, in my opinion, and no other game really has 6 months of nothingness for an update. And if you're going to take a really, really long time, have something to show for it, or, this update should have been, maybe like a 1 month or a 2 month thing, right? Have, like, a progression nerf. No, I'm just kidding, but you should have, like, a progression buff with some bug fixes in the next month, not, like, 6 months later for all of this stuff. And there's still a lot of bugs in the game, by the way, guys. But I'm going to end off the negative side here because I did talk about the negative first. I want to end the video on a more positive note. There's some things that they're doing which I really, really like. For example, I really love Lucky Drops, man. The Lucky Drops were amazing, and with this progression, I guess, nerf, there's going to be a lot more Lucky Drops, which I love the Lucky Drops, so I'm happy that they're looking for ways to implement more ways to open Lucky Drops and just get them in the game in general, because I feel like they're very fun to open. They just give me like a nice sense of like satisfaction every time I open them. I'm not really sure why. I just really, really enjoy it so much. And to give Supercell a bit of credit, I don't think that they are nerfing progression on purpose, by the way, guys. Don't get that twisted. I feel like that was just, like, you know, like them thinking wrong or them not realizing what they were truly doing to the progression until the tables were made out and graphed out. So, I'm going to give them a bit of slack on that end because I truly don't think that they nerfed progression on purpose, because I feel like they've been very good recently with progression and updates overall. In general, I just feel like that this one was a major, major flop. And, they're probably going to do something to fix it, to make it right, and all that kind of good stuff, because I feel like they've been doing a very good job in general recently. And I'm overall happy with how the game went from 2024 end. I mean, beginning to 2024 end, but I'm a bit displeased with how it's been from the beginning of 2025. That's the only thing. Like, also, guys, there has been no CRL announcement yet. That's another major thing that I didn't even really speak about, but the competitive side, their competitive league of the game, it is, you know, about to be the beginning of April, and we still haven't seen the competitive side of the game yet. Like, there's been no announcement, there's been no word of nothing, so that is a little bit sad, guys, and I do believe that we need to see, like, something for competitive, because, like, I mean, how is that even possible? The official competitive league that's meant to promote the game in that type of way hasn't even been announced yet. Like, come on, man. Like, that is a bit absurd, in my opinion. But anyways, guys, that is going to end off my rant. Well, not really rant, but that end off my thoughts on the current state of Clash Royale. Thank you guys for listening. I really, really appreciate it if you guys have been here for this long and been listening. I really, really do appreciate that, man. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I'll be back to a regular video tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.